Welcome to the Art of Succession podcast with Barrett Young. Join us as we explore the strategies, stories, and insights that shape the journey of leadership transitions and business success. No matter where you find yourself along the journey, this is the podcast where you'll find the tools to make it happen.
What you have to understand is 95% of all U.S. businesses have less than 20 employees. I've seen paychecks literally come in on a deal and raise the price before the first payroll's run, and then raise it again before the second one, and raise it again before the third one. We're all over the web now. We have our own YouTube channel. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. Our biggest source of leads is Facebook. CPAs don't know how to market. It's not in our DNA.
Welcome back to part 2 of my discussion with Charles Reed, CEO at Get Payroll. If you missed part 1 of our discussion, you can catch that right here, where Charles talks through the history of the early days of buying an accounting franchise and then moving beyond that after it went under. Otherwise, let's get back into this episode. So the acquisition kind of really happened in 2 phases. Yeah. You're still a partner in that one, but you're doing over here and you're making 25% off of him doing the work. And then finally, a couple of years ago, at some point, he's just said, no, I want to buy you out entirely. And we go our separate ways.
His point was that he needed more revenue. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so he was going to look for something that was going to generate more revenue for his family. And I said, hey,
just take it.
I'll tell you the rest. I'll show you the rest of the firm. Will that work? And he said, yeah. And so we negotiated. We used the same formula we had for him buying in, and it was a done deal in 90 days.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. How did you, now that payroll is your 100% focus, I mean, how did that shift how you're selling to clients, how you're saying, this is what we do over here. My former partner can provide this. I mean, and now that this, what did you see the vision, the future for Get Payroll from that point forward?
Oh, we wanted to get as big as ADP, but we never did. We concentrated, we focused on payroll and payroll services. We didn't talk about accounting services unless they brought it up, and then say, yeah, I've got my ex-partner who's offices with me that does accounting. Let me have you talk to him.
Yeah. And
there were clients he wouldn't take. He didn't like nonprofits. As an accountant in payroll, it's much more straightforward than taxes. Mm-hmm. And so we'd have clients that were
more regulated, but also much more straightforward.
Right. That would pay payroll and do it down the line. Mm-hmm. But over on the accounting side, they would wander across the line, on what's right and what's maybe not, and so on. So he might have problems with them there, where as long as they were paying payroll correctly and legitimately, we didn't care what they did.
Yeah.
I mean, from the payroll company's point of view, they could be a crook. But if they're paying Joe Blow his hourly rate and paying the taxes and our fee, we don't care. For instance, we had some problems with the banks as time went on because of cannabis and other things that the government said, you can't deal with these people. How it affects payroll just, boggles my. It doesn't affect payroll. What do you care? Okay. But that did some things, but we didn't care if they were not 100% up and up on the payroll side. We didn't care as long as they the checks cashed and our fees were paid. We didn't get into it. We didn't care. He did, and properly so. Had I been doing it, I would have cared too.
Yeah, complicated issues for sure.
Yes, very complicated.
Dealing with the states regulations on it, and then the IRS's regulations on things like that. So what was your target audience or target client for the payroll company? Was there a certain sweet spot for you guys? What'd that look like?
Under 20 employees.
Okay. So super small businesses as far as payroll is concerned.
Well, yeah, but what you have to understand is 95% of all US businesses have less than 20 employees.
Yeah.
Now, when you get to 100, our competition goes after them vehemently, very hard. Every company in the US that has over 100 employees is called on personally by an ADP rep at least 4 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We don't have the marketing budget to go after that and to compete with that. In addition to that, in our industry, Paychex, ADP will do anything to get a client.
Yeah.
When we copied the original Paychex contract, there was a line, W, whatever it takes,
WIT.
WIT. That's all it said, is WIT. And the salesman could do whatever he needed to close the deal. The WIT meant whatever it takes. So they're whores. They'll do anything to get the job, to get the contract. I have a hard time doing that because I've seen Paychex literally come in on a deal and raise the price before the first payroll's run, and then raise it again before the second one, and raise it again before the third one. Okay. I was listening in on the call that ADP has with their analysts for their annual. And Rodriguez, who was the president at the time, said, our goal this year is to get everyone to book, which means list price or above. I mean, these people are scum on their business ethics, as far as I'm concerned. And I won't operate that way. It's too much of a CPA in me.
Mm-hmm.
So we chose the small businesses. We find them to be very long-lived, very constant, and once we've got them trained in the system, it's very profitable. The margins are good, and the amount of effort needed, particularly as technology has improved, is minimal.
Mm-hmm.
So we are doing much more payroll with fewer people now than we were 20 years ago. So the systems and software and hardware and internet and electronic banking and so on, direct deposit, electronic payrolls has made this far less labor intensive than it used to be.
Yeah.
And therefore more profitable.
What's your marketing look like? Because I know for under 20 employees, that gets so undercut by the big two brands. So what's your marketing look like? Or is it almost, I mean, I know from having a payroll wing of our company, you could basically just pick up all the people that they screw up.
We get a lot from ADP and Paychex because
they're your best advertisements.
they're our best advertisers, absolutely. But we're all over the web now. Mm-hmm. We have our own YouTube channel. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. Our biggest source of leads is Facebook advertising. Okay. We had 2 people, and now we're down to 1 at the moment, who does nothing but our social media.
Okay.
That's really where we're doing all of our advertising. We don't do door to door. Died years ago.
Yeah. Postcards, any kind of local.
No, we do a lot of email advertising, but the cost of snail mail is for $1 for a piece of real mail. I can do 50,000 emails.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why would I send out a piece of mail? I get them in my mailbox. I just throw them away. Yeah. I don't look at the damn things. They're a waste of time and money. Cold calling is dead. Glenn Favorlita he does a whole thing for payroll companies. He believes in bulky mail, where you stick some chaka in there that makes for an uneven package, and so you open it and so on. I think it's a waste of time and money. I get these things periodically for various things. One of the things I loved is a pen company used to send me free pen samples, wanting me to buy pens and sell them, and I just take them, put them in my pen rack, and have a free pen. I don't believe in that stuff. Email marketing works for us. In our business, we've discovered that it's never no.
Mm.
It's just not today.
Mhm.
We get clients that come, we get potential clients that after a year, 2 years, 5 years, as long as 12 years come back and say, hey, I need payroll now.
Mm.
One of my favorite stories is I had done accounting work for a gentleman, CPA, and 12 years after I had ceased doing business with him, he'd retired and so on. His son called me and said, Charles, you guys still do payroll? And I said, yeah, sure. Well, he brought us a whole chain of restaurants. As a group, it's our biggest client now.
Mhm.
Out of the
Nice.
blue, 12 years later.
12 years later, yeah.
It's amazing. My sales guy has adopted that as his phrase now. You know what I always say? It's never no. It's just not today, because he believes it now.
Yeah.
So everything we dump in the funnel, we continue to drip market to, because sooner or later, particularly if they're with ADP or Paychecks, they're going to get pissed.
Mhm.
And if we're on the desk, they're going to call us.
Being a fellow CPA, and like you said, we're the life of the party everywhere we go. how, what did you how did you shift your mindset to this? Because I talk to CPAs in my profession, some my age, some older than me, and they're just nope, Chamber of Commerce, go shake hands, play golf, all that kind of stuff. What caused you to shift your mindset? And then, like you said, finally acknowledge I'm not a marketer. I need to bring marketing in-house.
I was trying to do all of this, mail pieces, networking, and so on. And it was getting overwhelming with everything else that's going on. So I hired a marketing person.
Just local or contact or
Yeah, just
referral?
I put out an ad, and this was 10 years ago, whatever, 8 years ago, and hired a lady, and she immediately started doing things in the social media area
Mhm.
that my personal view of Facebook is it's a great place to send grandma pictures of the babies. Other
Sure.
than that, I have no use for it.
That's why my parents got
She
onto it.
started using it, and we started. Exactly. She started using that and started getting clients from it and from other social media and email marketing. And we she made me change my mind.
Mm.
And it was just serendipity that I finally hired somebody, because I'd gotten, I had other things going on. My wife was disabled and from a stroke, and just I didn't have time for everything. And so far, far, far better at it than I was. So yeah, and I've been to CPA conferences for years, and there'll be 100 people at the marketing CPE course, and maybe two of them will ask questions, and one of them will implement something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't know how to market. CPAs don't know how to market. They
Yeah.
just don't. It's not in our DNA. It was in hers. And I'm the guy who would try something from the conference. Okay, I'm that guy, but I still can't mark my way out of a paper bag compared to a professional at it.
Yeah.
So if you have a CPA firm and you don't have a marketing person, hire one, at least part time.
Nice. I mean, yeah, just good on you for recognizing the limitation there, recognizing and getting lucky with your first hire. Also, a lot of people
Yes.
have know so little about marketing that they can't tell if the person that they've hired is doing a good job or not, because they're like, I guess something might be happening. So that's awesome to hear. Um, so did you say you're down to one person now for marketing, or that's just one person on the social media? What's
One
Get
person on
Payroll?
the one
What's
person on the social media. I
okay?
have two people in the marketing staff. I'd had three. I'd had uh, who did all my photo editing and all the social media videos and so on. We now have systems in place where somebody, a national marketing manager, can do a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the things we need to, we can outsource on Fiverr or whatever for a fraction of the cost of a full-time person.
Gotcha.
We needed that full-time person to develop the systems, the hardware, the concepts, and everything else that went through it. And I don't begrudge at all the cost of having him on board for 4 or 5 years. He was just fabulous at it, but he got an offer from somebody and, moved on. And congratulations. I mean, I never put somebody down for doing what they think is best for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody says to me, I found a better job, I'm leaving, I stick my hand out and say, congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. I'm glad you found something you think is better. If it doesn't work out, give me a call.
Yeah. Good.
And I've had
That's
people
good
come
attitude.
back to me.
Yeah, the grass wasn't greener over there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Michael was a superb videographer, and I treasure everything he's done, and got our YouTube channel set up and helped us define how we're doing things and so on. And he's a very, very talented individual. And at some point we may replace him and bring somebody else in. But at the moment, we're just doing it on a little less budget.
Okay. 2 to 3 people on a marketing team. What size is Get Payroll now where you would justify something like that, where that makes sense? Like staff wise, how big are you guys?
A dozen people.
Oh, wow.
Total.
Okay. So about a quarter of your team almost is is
marketing.
Wow. That's awesome. If you want to get into it here towards the end of the interview, what's talking about your own acquisition? What's the succession plan for Get Payroll look like, and what's the timeline on that? Are you in talks? Do you have a leadership team within the company? What's that look like?
There are 3 people in leadership positions. Deborah's been with me for 25 years. Chris has been with me. He's my ops manager for 10. And Anash is my marketing manager. He's been with me about 5 years now. And then I have, 8 or 10 other people under them. I'm basically semi-retired now. I'm doing very little work other than podcasts and interviews. We have a weekly marketing meeting where we go over things, and I still, have to make some of the decisions because I'm the owner. Though Deborah owns 10% of the company. I gave her 10% years ago. My plan is to move the business ownership to all the employees. Obviously, the ones that have been there longer and are in positions of authority will probably end up with bigger shares. We are in discussion on exactly how that's going to happen. I don't know the best way yet to do that. I'm talking to an attorney about, employee stock ownership, whatever. But it is my desire by the end of next year to have gotten myself completely out of the business. The only thing I'll do is be getting a small income stream from it for the sale of it for the rest of my life. I mean, I could call ADP tomorrow and sell this for probably 1.5 times revenue. ADP, Paychex, PayChoice, whatever, Paycom, they'd all buy me in a heartbeat. It's not enough money to matter. I would much rather give my employees the chance to have the ownership and produce the kind of lifestyle that I've enjoyed from that. Believe me, the first 10 years were tough. Okay. It was hand to mouth. And if somebody didn't get paid, it was me. But it got better over the years. And I think they should have a chance to do it as they please. And I'll take an income stream for the rest of my life. And when I die, it's theirs. They don't have to do that anymore. I'm not going to try and burden them with my youngest When I married Ruth, she had 5 children. She was older. My baby is 61 years old. My oldest are retired. Okay.
Yep.
They don't need the company. They've never worked in it. The only one that might have passed from cancer 30 some odd years ago. So there's, they don't deserve the fruits of my labor. They didn't work in the company. If one of them worked in the company for 30 years, they'd probably get it.
Yeah.
But hell, Deborah's been with me 25 years.
Yeah.
We don't have turnover to speak of. I mean, Michael left and we didn't replace him. We haven't hired anybody since Michael, and he's been with me 5 years. So we don't have turnover. We pay well. We don't play politics. We don't hire jerks. It's, now we're all virtual. So everybody's working from home quite successfully. I had my hesitation about that. But when Krista, who handles the banking and reconciliations and a bunch of other things in HR, came to me last year and said, "This is what we're spending on having the building."
Made an easy decision.
And I looked at that and I said, "Jesus Christ, really?" And we went through it. We actually added a bit more to it. It was a no-brainer. We'd all been working off and on remotely since COVID.
Yeah.
So to move it to remote, Christy, who works in operations, had literally been working from Killeen anyway, 150 miles away. She'd come up one day a week. Then it was one day every other 2 weeks. And unbeknownst to me, because I let operations run itself now, she moved to Louisiana and was working there. So, remote just wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
She got married again and moved to Louisiana. So it's all working. It's all remote. Life's good.
Yeah.
And, I do very little now and I want to do less. So, yeah, let them have a chance at it. I want to legally get shut of it. So if there's a problem, it's not me, which is a very smart thing to make sure that if you're selling a business, that the potential liabilities are not your responsibility. That's something that you really need to be critical about in buying and selling businesses. It's why I recommend in most cases to my clients that are buying a business that they buy the assets. They don't buy the existing business. Form a new corporation, buy the assets, move it into it, pay cash or whatever they're going to pay for it outside. And that way, any potential liabilities that exist aren't your problem.
End with that corporation.
And with that corporation. And I want to make sure the same thing, that I move the stock over to them, and I'm not even a stockholder. I'm just they owe me money. I'm just,
You'll figure that out with the attorney.
We'll figure that out. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Well, Charles, I mean, this conversation went fast. I appreciate it. Just the wealth of your experience and your knowledge, and just the care that you have for your employees. That's really great to hear. They're lucky to work with you, and I know you feel lucky to have them. So
absolutely.
Anything that you wanted to add before we jump into the lightning round?
No, we're good.
All right. I appreciate it. So let's get started with the lightning round. Coffee or tea, and how do you like it?
Coffee black.
All right. Pie or cake, and do you have a specific kind you like?
Hot apple pie with cheese on top.
Okay. That's a new one for me. I don't think I've even heard of that before. So.
Oh yeah, a slice of cheese on top of hot apple pie.
Oh, gotcha. Apple pie. I heard pineapple, but
no, apple pie. I have a cold. Apple pie with a slice of cheese. It's my favorite.
American cheese, cheddar cheese.
Cheddar cheese is better, but American will serve. Cheese and apples go together. If you've never had it, try it sometime. Yep. Try a slice of cheese on a piece of hot apple pie. You'll be amazed.
My mother-in-law is going to freak out at Thanksgiving when I try this. Awesome. Interesting. What is a common belief among entrepreneurs that you would want to challenge?
They all expect to be the next unicorn, and it ain't going to happen. You're not going to be the next Jeff Bezos. You're not going to be the next uh, Microsoft guy, whatever. It's not going to happen, but you can make a nice living.
What's your favorite holiday and why?
4th of July,
Any
fireworks. I love it.
works? All right. Awesome. Are you a morning person or a night person?
Night person. I hate mornings.
All right. What's a routine look like for you at night?
Well, when I get up, I exercise, which is probably why I hate mornings. But I will normally after work and after dinner, I'll read until midnight.
Hmm.
I read a great deal and then hit the rack.
What is one thing that you would want your successor to remember you for, Charles?
I don't care. I don't want them to remember me. I want them to have their own life. I had another podcast ask me, what do you want your great grandchildren to think about you? I don't expect my great grandchildren to ever think about me. Okay. That's just ego. And I try to park mine at the door.
Awesome. All right. Interesting. Um, where are you finding creativity right now?
In technology.
Hmm.
As technology changes, it allows you to do things. Look at us, this conversation right now, electronically. 10 years ago, never happened, right? This is a marketing opportunity as well. So the changes in technology, the things you can do with them are just incredible. I love it.
I love your optimism. I hope I can retain that for the rest of my life. So, last question: what do you have coming up in the next year that's got you really excited?
I'm going to sell the house I have that Ruth and I built, and I'm going to buy land and build a bachelor house. I'm a widower. So I'm very excited about doing that. I built one custom home and I swore I'd never do it again. But building a custom house is like pregnancy. After a few years, the pain goes away. And you may have another child.
You're like, it wasn't that bad, was it?
Yeah. Ask your wife. She'll understand. So I'm very excited about that change in my life and moving on. I'm 75, but I live on a 20-year horizon.
Mm.
I assume I'm going to live 20 years from today. And tomorrow, I assume I'm going to live 20 years from tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I realize at some point I'm going to have to lower that horizon. And I tell people, probably at 105, I'll have to lower that to 15 years.
I love it. Oh man, Charles, where can people go and find out more about you?
We're getpayroll.com, all over the web. We have our YouTube channel that has both fun videos and educational videos. There's some really fun ones. The Halloween one with the IRS as the living dead rising from the graves is a blast. Okay. So my email is cjr@getpayroll.
All right, I'll make sure I link that specific video in the description of this show. And Charles, I just want to thank you for being on the show, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. And just once again, Semper Fi, brother, and thank you for your service.
Semper Fi, brother. It's been my pleasure.
I hope that you've enjoyed my discussion with Charles Reed as much as I have. Here on The Art of Succession, we have interviews twice a month with business owners just like Charles with their own succession stories. If you're interested in being a guest on The Art of Succession, you can find our interview form down in the description below. If this has been any value to you, I'd ask you to please share it with others. And I want to thank you for watching The Art of Succession.